What is common knowledge that you found out way too late? Just because I hold an opinion on something doesn't mean that I need to share it. I spent way too much of my early adulthood inserting my viewpoint into discussions that I wasn't really a part of. Always get it in writing. Simply asking, "How are you?" once in a while is all it takes to not fall apart from old friends. Hard work isn't always the answer. When I worked a minimum wage job, I would work hard and not take breaks. So a great job. And always finish early. I just then got told to pick up the slack for the employees who spent their time goofing off. Never got a promotion, raise, or even a "hey, good job." That when people ask to borrow money, especially if it's a friend or family, just expect to never see it again. Being well educated in one area doesn't mean that a person can't be a total idiot in other areas. Every action made in anger ends in sorrow. An attorney, when I was 24. Don't make permanent decisions based on temporary feelings. Going too long without sleep can impair your ability to drive the same way as drinking too much alcohol. Your oral health is just as important as your general health. That you can actually say no to your parents. Sometimes, regardless of how good a person you are, how hard you try, and how sincere you feel, there are people who will mistreat and take advantage of you. And more importantly, them doing that usually isn't your fault. It's more often a product of who they are and wasn't as personal or important of a choice for them as it will feel for you. Percentages are reversible. So 8% of 25 is the same thing as 25% of 8, and sometimes the reverse is easier to calculate. People can break your trust quickly. Even when you thought you knew them well. Edit. Whoa. I've never gotten this many upvotes ever, so thanks. That kitten's baby teeth also fall out. Found out when playing with my cat he was young. Rollercoaster of emotions between it happening and me googling while holding a little canine fang in my hand. Just because they're older than you doesn't make them more mature. Would have saved me from an entire marriage. Bit late to this, but a university lecturer once said, "Practice doesn't make perfect. It makes permanent." Make sure you're learning the right way to do things as much as you can. Because otherwise those bad habits will take longer to change. There's no rules to doing chores. You can make it more fun if you want to. For no reason I forgot that I could watch a TV show while I fold laundry, and I didn't have to just sit there and do it. That gargling salt water works way better than cough drops for colds and sore throats. Time goes by fast. You can actually download the entirety of Wikipedia. Basic living skills. My parents were hoarders and neglected me growing up. We lived in filth and wore dirty clothes. Rarely bathed, etc. So I never learned what goes into keeping a house clean, or good hygiene practices, or the basic skills needed for normal life. I know, in theory, how to do those things now. But the underlying core organizational, management, etc. skills still aren't there. It's kinda hard to explain, but it just feels like there will always be a gap for me. That most people can actually see pictures in their mind. Growing up, I always thought counting sheep to fall asleep meant using my head to think the words 1 sheep, 2 sheep, 3 sheep, etc. And so I was understandably puzzled as to why sheep, and not any other word. Then, when I was 34 years old, so not exactly young, I actually figured out that I have aphantasia. Turns out, nearly everyone can actually see animals, or their family members' faces, or characters from a movie, in their head, whereas I've always built quite detailed descriptions in words. because that's all I have all in my head. There are no vineyards at Martha's Vineyard. That you need to regularly check and top up the fluids in your car. I bought my first car at 16. A cheap old beater. And knew nothing about cars other than gas makes it go. Found out the hard way that it had other required fluids that I had neither checked nor filled. Broke down on the highway and fucked up my engine. Tell the police nothing. Tell the paramedic everything. When tying your shoes, the direction of the loop before you knot matters. Most of my life my laces were constantly getting loose throughout the day until well into adulthood. You can't get lazy with birth control just because you turn 40, signed, middle-aged mum of a newborn. It is possible to commit no mistakes and still lose. That is not a weakness. That is life. Edit. Wow. I'm trying to reply to everyone. I'll get there. My boyfriend introduced me to Voyager. My husband let me watch Ting. Edit 2. The boyfriend became the husband. I made it so. Never make an important decision if you are hungry or horny. Both have a massive impact on your decision-making abilities. Don't let the in-laws move in. Blew it. Flushable wipes are not to be flushed ever. Never use water on a gas fire. If I hadn't recently learned this from Reddit, something might have happened someday. I thought islands were floating landmasses for way longer than I am proud to admit. A pony is not a baby horse. Edit. The number of people who are responding to this saying that they didn't know this makes me feel so much better for having learned it last year from Reddit. At 36 years old. Glad I'm not the only one it took a while for. Cheers. Flammable and inflammable mean the same. Found that out the hard way. My GF found out at age 15 that you can breathe out of your nose. She has a lot of allergies and has never been able to. Not sure if common knowledge, but Win plus left or right snaps window to half the screen. Handy when you are referring to two different documents or websites at the same time. I learned that last month. Never lie to your lawyer, your accountant, your psychologist. Edit. Full disclosure to your doctors. Lungs aren't bags that fill up, they're like a spongy meat. Headaches, sluggishness, and crankiness are all signs of being hungry. I took medication that made me lose my appetite. And I am not very good at recognizing different types of hunger cues, feeling especially sad, anxious, or guilty late at night means I gotta go to bed. Didn't figure this out at all. I saw the phrase, never trust how you feel about your life after 9 p.m. early this year. Just before I turned 25. That you need to get pretty good at managing your own health, your finances and your career. Even if this means choosing the right professionals to work with. Not everybody you fight is your enemy, and not everybody that helps you is your friend. Mike Tyson. This little piggy went to market. The pig was not shopping. You can preserve fresh vegetables by getting plastic containers and putting paper towels on the bottom and the top. It absorbs the water. It's the water from condensation that makes them go bad so fast. Then just change the paper towels every few days and wipe out the container. Makes them last way longer. I wonder how I am not dead that I did not know this. Especially as a single guy. My fresh veggies can last 3 weeks. I don't have to get little bits and keep going back to the store. There's no reasoning with some people. Life can literally change forever in the next second, hour or day, and that when people say to enjoy every moment of life as if it's your last. It's actually good advice to maintain a positive attitude and feel like you have no regrets. Edit. Thank you for the upvotes and awards. I'm speaking from personal experience. My so has been diagnosed with a major issue and the good days are limited. So we're living our best life. Just enjoying the simple things. Condoms are cheaper than diapers. That people are saying, quote unquote, when quoting someone and not saying, quote unquote, I was thinking while driving about a month ago and it suddenly hit me. It took 30 years. The workplace is not a meritocracy. That incompetent moron is going to get promoted before you get promoted. Deal with it. When someone compliments you, say, thank you. Don't brush it off as if you didn't deserve it. You can take the silverware holder out of the dishwasher and set it on the counter to put them away, rather than bending down over and over to get a handful at a time. That you can get pregnant the very first time you have sex. The direction of the arrow next to your car fuel indicator lets you know what side you're filling. Point is, when it comes to trying to save someone from addiction, love is not enough. If you are really committed to making a relationship work, you have to stop worrying about who's right. Winning arguments just isn't important. Stop. Walk away. Breathe. Ask yourself if who loaded the dishwasher more times last week is really worth arguing with someone you love over. I bet it's not, but you may not think that way if you just lash out at any critical comment. Wearing earplugs at concerts and wedding receptions. Tinnitus sucks, people. No one really cares about you. I don't mean that in a bad way. But everyone is so busy thinking about themselves. You are always an afterthought, the most embarrassing thing in your life. Probably doesn't matter that much to someone else. That your relationship with your parents and the relationship between your parents will, if not examined, be the subconscious blueprint for your relationships too. Man, I wish I had examined my childhood better. I spent the better part of my 20s wondering why my relationships never worked out, and then started noticing the resemblance to the worst aspects of my childhood. A hard but valuable lesson to start to recognize those shitty childhood experiences reverberate so much stronger than you can imagine. Buy cheap, buy twice. I am 18, live around the Middle East, and my family is pretty religious, so naturally I did not learn anything sexual. Even at school we didn't take anything related to sex ed. On top of that, the school was segregated. Boys alone and girls alone even during recess. There are many things that I found out pretty late because of this. Firstly, I thought women had no penis but still had balls until I was 14. Secondly, I didn't know sex was required to make babies until I was 15. Thirdly, I thought you had to penetrate the ass to make babies until I was about 16.5. Now IDK if this is considered late, but according to most of my friends it is. My name is Aaron. Turns out when you go to the bank and the post office and the store, you are running errands, not errands. Saving money early in life is a really good idea. I didn't know there were top-bottom tags on the insides of most bed sheets until I was 25 when my BF pointed it out to me. Before that, I had just picked a side I thought was shorter and hoped for the best. But I was usually wrong. Lol. If you've been chopping chilies, wash your hands well before you touch anyone's genitals. Lefty loosey, righty tighty. That made my life so much easier. 1. Stripper poles themselves spin. Got drunk, ended up having a stripper bet me I couldn't spin on the pole, so dumb me climbs up there, grabs the pole and flings myself as hard as I could. Well, I ended skidding across the stage. Been a long running joke now. Don't drink then bet a stripper when they are bored. It was like 3 in the afternoon and me and my friends were the only ones there. Netflix and chill does not mean watching something on Netflix and chilling. Edit. For those wondering, it means sex.